Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning.
Proseguiamo la nostra catechesi sul tema della preghiera.
Let us continue with our
Il libro della
catechesis on the
Genesi,
subject of
attraverso le
prayer.
vicende di uomini e donne di epoche lontane, ci racconta
The book of
storie
Genesis,
in
through
cui
the
noi
occurrences of
possiamo
men and women of a far-off time,
rispecchiare la
tells
nostra
us stories that we can reflect on in our own
cicla dei
lives.
patriarchi. Troviamo
In the
anche quella di
patriarch's
un uomo
cycle,
che aveva fatto
we also
della
find that of a man
la sua dote migliore.
who shrewdly developed his
Giacobbe.
best talent,
Il
Jacob.
racconto biblico ci parla del difficile rapporto che Giacobbe
The
aveva con
biblical
suo
account
fratello
tells us about the
Esaù.
difficult relationship
Fin da
Jacob
piccoli,
had with his
tra
brother
loro
Esau.
c'è rivalità
Ever since
e non sarà
childhood, there was
mai
a rivalry
superata in
between them
seguito.
which was never overcome later on.
Giacobbe è il secondogenito,
Jacob is the second-born.
erano gemellini,
They were
ma
twins.
con l'inganno riesce a
But
carpire
through
al padre
trickery,
Isacco
he manages to obtain the
benedizione
blessing
e il dono della
and
primogenitura.
birthright of their father
È
Isaac.
solo la prima di una lunga
It is
serie
only
di
the first
astuzie
in a long
di cui
series of
questo uomo
ploys
spregiudicato
of
è
which this
capace.
unscrupulous man
Anche il nome
is capable. Even his name,
Giacobbe
Jacob,
significa qualcosa di
means
chissà muoversi non
like someone
direttamente,
who doesn't move
significa quella
directly,
scaltrezza nel muoversi,
a bit shrewd in how he behaves.
costretto a fuggire lontano dal fratello nella sua vita,
Forced to flee
pare
far from his
riuscire
brother,
in
he
ogni
seems to
impresa.
succeed in every undertaking
È
in his
abile negli
life. He's
affari,
adept at
si
business.
arricchisce molto,
He greatly
diventando
enriches
proprietario
himself,
di
becoming the
un
owner
gregge enorme.
of an enormous flock.
Con tenacia e pazienza riesce a sposare la più bella delle figlie del Labano.
With tenacity and patience, he manages to marry Laban's most beautiful daughter, with whom he truly is in love.
Diremmo con linguaggio moderno,
Jacob, as we
è un
would
uomo
say
che
in
si è
modern
fatto da
times,
solo,
is a
con
self-made man.
l'impegno, la scaltrezza,
With his ingenuity, his
riesce a
shrewdness,
conquistare
he
tutto
manages
ciò che
to
desidera.
obtain everything he wants.
Gli manca qualcosa,
But he's missing something.
gli manca il rapporto vivo con le proprie radici.
He's missing a living
Un
relationship
giorno sente il richiamo di casa
with
della sua
his
antica patria,
roots. And one day he hears the call of home, of his ancient homeland,
ancora viveva Esaù,
where his
il
brother
fratello
Esau,
con cui sempre era stato in
with whom he has
pessimi
always had a terrible relationship, still lives.
Giacobbe parte e compie un lungo
Jacob
viaggio
sets
con una
out,
carovana numerosa di
undertaking a
persone
long
e
journey
animali
with a
finché
caravan of
arriva
many
all'ultima
people and
tappa,
animals until
al
he reaches the
torrente
final stage,
Giabok.
the Jabbok
Il libro
stream.
della Genesi ci
Here,
offre una pagina
the book of
memorabile.
Genesis offers us a
Racconta che il
memorable
patriarca,
page.
dopo aver
It
fatto
describes that the
attraversare il
patriarch,
torrente a tutta la sua gente
after
e
having
tutti
all
i
of his
bestiame che ha
people
tanto,
and all the
rimane
livestock,
da
he had
solo
many,
sulla
he had
sponda
them cross the
straniera
stream first, and he
e
remains alone
pensa che
on the
cosa
bank,
lo attende per l'indomani,
still in a foreign
che
land.
atteggiamento
And Jacob
assumerà suo
ponders,
fratello Esaù,
what awaits
il
him
quale
the
aveva
following
rubato la
day?
primogenitura.
What attitude will his brother Esau
La
assume?
mente di
After all, he
Giacobbe
had robbed him of his
è un
birthright.
turbinio di pensieri
Jacob's mind is a
e
whirlwind
mentre
of
si fa
thoughts.
buio all'improvviso
And as it is
uno
getting dark,
sconosciuto lo afferra e
suddenly a
comincia a
stranger
lottare con
grabs
lui.
him and begins to
Il
wrestle with
Catechismo
him.
spiega
The
la
Catechism
tradizione
explains,
spirituale della Chiesa ha visto in questo
the spiritual
racconto
tradition of the
il
Church has
simbolo della
retained
preghiera
the symbol of
come
prayer
combattimento
as a battle of
della
faith
fede e vittoria della
and as the
perseveranza.
triumph of perseverance.
Giacobbe lottò per tutta la notte, senza mai lasciare la presa del suo avversario. Alla fine
Jacob
viene
wrestles the
vinto,
entire night, never
colpito
letting
dal
go
suo
of his
rivale
adversary.
al nervio
In the end,
sciatico.
he is beaten.
E da allora
His
sarà
sciatic nerve is
zoppo per
struck by
tutta
his
la vita.
appointment, and thereafter he will walk
Quel
with a limp for the
misterioso
rest of his
lottatore
life.
chiede il nome al patriarca.
That
Egli dice,
mysterious
"Non ti
wrestler
chiamerai
asks the
più
patriarch
Giacobbe,
for his name and
ma
tells him,
Israele.
"Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. You're not going to be that man who walks not directly. You're going to change your way of living. You will be called Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob also asks the other, "Tell me, I pray, your name." The other does not reveal it to him, but blesses him instead. Then Jacob understands he has encountered God face to face.
Una metafora della preghiera.
Wrestling with God is a metaphor for prayer. Other times, Jacob has shown himself able to dialogue with God, to sense him as a friendly and close presence.
A lungo e che lo vede quasi soccombere, il patriarca esce cambiato. Cambiare il nome, cambiare il modo di vivere e cambiare la personalità.
That night, through a lengthy struggle that nearly makes him succumb, the patriarch emerges changed. He's completely changed. For he is no longer master of the situation. His shrewdness doesn't serve him anymore. He's no longer a strategic or calculating man. God returns him to his truth as a mortal man who trembles and fears. While Jacob was fighting, he was afraid. For once, Jacob has only his frailty and powerlessness to present to God, and his sins too. And it is this Jacob who receives God's blessing, with which he limps into the promised land, vulnerable and wounded, but with a new heart. One time I heard something about an older man. He was good, but he was a sinner who had a lot of trust in God. And he used to say, "God will help me. He will not let me alone. I will get to paradise. I'll be limping, but I'll get there."
Era un uomo impermeabile alla grazia, refrattario alla misericordia. Non conosceva cosa fosse la misericordia.
First, he was a self-assured man. He trusted in his own shrewdness. He was a man impervious to grace, immune to mercy. He didn't know what mercy was. I'm able to do everything. He didn't need mercy, according to him. But God saved what had been lost. He made him understand that he was limited, that he was a sinner, that he needed mercy, and he saved him. We all have an appointment during the night with God, during the night of our lives, in the many nights of our lives. Dark times, times of sin, times when we're disoriented, that's when we have an appointment with God, always. He will surprise us at the moment we least expect, when we find ourselves truly alone that same night, struggling against the unknown. We will become aware that we are only poor men and women. Allow me to say that we're poor. It's difficult to translate that into English. I realize I am poor at the moment when I feel my poverty. But we need not fear at that moment, because God will give us a new name, which contains the meaning of our entire life. It will be a change of heart, and He will offer us the blessing reserved to those who have allowed themselves to be changed by Him. This is a beautiful invitation to allow ourselves to be changed by God.
Lui sa come farlo,
He knows how to do it
perché conosce ognuno
because
di
He
noi.
knows each one of us.
Signore, tu me
Lord,
conosci,
you know me.
può dire ognuno di noi.
Each one of
Signore,
us
tu
can
mi
say that,
conosci,
Lord, you know me.
cambiami.
Change me.
Grazie.
Thank you.